Hi there, Robin here from Expert On, and today we've got the new ZLX from Electro-Voice. Now, it's not terribly new, it has been out for a little while, but it is new compared to what they had originally, which was the ZLX-12P and the ZLX-15P. Now, we're looking at the ZLX-12BT, and it also comes in a 15-inch version called the 15BT. On the table is the 12. It's set up almost identical to the 12P with the added feature of Bluetooth and some functionality difference in the back, which is really what we're going to talk about today. We are going to do a quick overview on the product, and then we're going to do a sound test when we're all done. Sound, I'll be honest, exactly the same. But we are going to cover a couple of things that maybe we missed on the original 12P video, which is how the diffuser works on the actual tweeter. It's trying to achieve the same as, let's say, what the JBL Eon's trying to achieve with the diffuser they put on their woofer. And that's to match up the dispersion of the highs with the lows. So this way, when you use it as a monitor or as a main speaker, it's not going to have side fill where it basically sounds muddy. Our highs are going to be distributed really well to match and line up with the woofer, because the woofer always naturally pushes out more to the left and right than the tweeter does. So with the actual diffuser they put on top, it helps line that all up. So this way everybody gets a really nice sound when it comes off of the speaker. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So here we go. What are we looking at traditionally, box-wise? Electro-Voice has done an incredible job. They don't have a two-tier quality system when it comes to craftsmanship. In this case, it's made out of a polymer. It is a plastic-based material, but don't think plastic like, oh, you know, hollow, empty sound. It is designed and engineered to mimic what we get out of a wood box without having all that extra weight. And they can do that because we're not trying to achieve 2,000-3,000 watts out of a box. We're trying to get to 1,000 watts, which is plenty of sound out of this system. Now, how they do that and keep the weight half of what some of the other speakers would normally weigh? Well, one, the entire thing is engineered, of course, to come together as a set. So the amp plate, the woofer, the tweeter, even the box is all engineered to be, well, the ZLX. When we say that, we look at the box and we go, how do they keep all that from getting loose and rattly? Well, the handle is the magic. It's got angles on it, which really helps the actual system hold its shape. And because of the sharp angles on how the handle's embedded, this is going to help keep the box solid without distorting. I mean, for this to move, it would have to literally bend all of this material, which is virtually impossible for the amount of pressure that's going to be built inside this box. So it's a very quiet box, so there's no, we're not going to get any loose sound coming out of the actual box, and it's easy to manage. Outside of that, they've gone out of their way, and what I like is the fact they put handles on the top and the bottom, and they have rubber grips on them. And if I'm not mistaken, they are metal handles with rubber grips. And they secure everything with twice as many screws as needed. So everything is basically bolted in. Really nice and easy to use. So there we go. On the side we have our rubber feet. So this one we use as a monitor, we're going to have no problems. And on the bottom we have a pole mount and we have rubber feet. So when it's sitting down, we're all good. Outside of that, what we actually get is a display panel on the back, which allows us to really dig into what this speaker can do. So we're going to take a closer look at that now, and then we'll talk about the actual inputs on the unit. So here's the actual main body of the back display. This is what we're going to be talking about. We're going to talk about the Bluetooth functionality on it. We're going to talk about the actual knob and how that works. And the most important thing right off the hop is that to get this going, if I turn it, it's going to say push to unlock. So that's so we don't accidentally change the settings. So I've just pushed it, and now we can move it up and down. So there we go. So first thing we get to do is adjust the actual level output, and that's the digital level control there. And then if we actually press the button, again, we now get into the main menu of the system. The exit function's right on top. So if we go there, that lets us get out. If we press it again, we're back in. The default is going to be the mode. What setting do we want to have it in? Could be set in club mode, speech, live, and music. These modes are generically made, so this way the EQ is preset for you. You don't have to do a lot of fiddling with it except choose the one you like. Again, these settings are going to change the bass and treble response and a bit of the mid-range controls. Next is going to be location. Where did we decide to set the speaker up? Is it on a bracket, which is a wall bracket, so it's closer to the wall itself? Is it set up on the floor as a monitor, or is it just on a pole on a tripod? Normally, I look at this as it close to the wall. That would be a good reference to where you're seeing bracket. Monitor, of course, it's on the floor. And then, whoops, pole mount right here. This means it's kind of freely standing in the middle of a room or close to a wall, but not next to it. So we like to leave it in pole mount for standard setup here in the showroom. Then the next one is subwoofer. Well, are we using a subwoofer or not? And right now it's off. If I press that button, I have choices from 80 hertz all the way up to 150, and then it switches into the models. This is a great advertising system here, by the way. You get to see all of Electro-Voice's subwoofers, and it automatically adjusts the contour of this and the crossover to match up with those specific subwoofers to get the best response out of both. Then we get bass and treble control, which can be plus minus 10 dB, just simply by turning the knob. And again, this is like cream and sugar in your coffee. There's no right or wrong, just what you like. Mix output. They're making reference to the actual output here. So whatever I plug in here, either it being a 1/4 inch XLR, line input mics, auxiliary, that sort of thing, do I want this speaker to send both left and right audio signals out of here? Or do I want it to just be the right? So this speaker will become the left, and then the right will be sent out of this speaker to be plugged into your second one. I think that's a great function. LED limiter, that's what I have it set for, and they're referring to the light in the front of the speaker. I can either have that off, on, or I can set it to the limiter. I like the limiter because when I'm actually demoing the speaker, I can actually see how we're doing. And the same thing occurs to the brightness contrast settings of the actual unit. We can then store or recall preset functions that we've made in the actual system, which is nice. So at this point, we've made it up to where it says streaming. So that is in reference to the Bluetooth function. Now, everything up to this point, from recall all the way up to the top of this display, we could have been talking about the actual ZLX-12P or 15P. This is where it actually changes. When we hit that streaming option, that's our menu options. We get to pairing, and that's basically going to be broadcasting the actual signal out for 2 minutes and 2 minutes only. And then you basically have to re-engage this feature because it'll time out. So this way nobody can accidentally pair to it or, well, unpurposely pair it to your speaker while you're using it. At that point, you can just move down. You've got the ability to lock it out so people can't come over, turn on your Bluetooth function, and then set it up. So to do that, you can just lock it right out. So hold button to unlock. Yes. So at this point, when it leaves the menu, you'll be locked out. And then you've got options like resetting the entire system. Info details tells you what version software they're running. The firmware is version 1. And then we can exit right out of there. So that covers everything on that, and that's going to keep us in check to how much volume we're going to be putting in here. If this says clipping, then we're putting way too much into the preamp inputs. That includes the Bluetooth at the bottom, and that is going to be bad for the output on the speaker. Now, there's also another that displays limit on the unit, and that's the limiter that's kicking in. If it just shows up in small writing, says limit, basically it's just cutting off the top, and it believes it's not really changing the actual quality of the music by too much. When it lights up big, now it's really modifying what's going on, and it's distorting the actual music at this point, and you really should be turning it down as per the instruction manual. So that brings either dial it down from here or dial it down from your line inputs. All right, so let's talk a bit about the actual input and output options on this unit. We've got 2 line-in options here, which are 1/4 inch and XLR combo jacks. So I can plug either connector into either port, no problem. So if I wanted to go on the bottom with a 1/4 inch, I can do that. If I wanted to have a balanced connection, let's say from an XLR cable, I can do that as well. It connects up that quickly, that easily. To release it, just push the button and pull it out, or just pull out the 1/4 inch, just like that. So that's how convenient and simple. These are also the lines that I can use as microphone inputs by simply turning this past the unity option, the mic preamp kicks in as soon as we leave that, and now we're into a mic mode setting. Same thing with the second option. Now, it also has featured a 3.5, which was originally featured on the 12P and 15P, and that basically allowed me to take a 3.5 and plug right into the unit, just like so. This volume control is controlled by the master volume up on top. Now that frees me up to plug this into, let's say, a laptop or anything like that. But let's say I wanted to plug it into a controller that uses RCAs, like one of the Newmarks or one of the Pioneers. Well, I would need this cable. This is nice, convenient. This is a great way to do it. All I do is plug the 3.5 into here, and this frees me up with 2 RCAs in stereo to run to my controller. So I'll be able to take the music from my controller directly into the speaker. And if I had a second speaker, I would just use the XLR output and plug that directly into my second speaker. It's pretty much that simple. Remember, don't exceed, don't have this clipping, and don't have this showing you too much of a limiter, especially when it gets big. You're going to want to dial it down a bit. So there we go. Let's put the 2 speakers side by side. That means the ZLX-12BT, the one we have here, and to show how similar they are, literally identical, we're going to bring over the 12P. So here we are. We've got both the 12P and the 12BT here at the same time. They are identical. They are, well, casted from the same molds. The grill covers are punched in the same assembly line. Everything is exactly the same, except with the BT, you are going to get Bluetooth. So now, if you are looking for 2 of them, and you already have the actual P version, and you want Bluetooth, by all means, just go ahead and get one. Remember, the second one doesn't need Bluetooth on it, because you can't connect them both at the same time via Bluetooth, so you might as well have one that doesn't and one that does. If you're at a point where there's no more 12P, let's say, who's to know? Buy 2 Bluetooth, who cares? It's okay, there's nothing wrong with that. So what we'll do now, like I said, exactly identical products, nothing different between them. It would be like, well, the same, except without the Bluetooth. So that's about as much as I can say when it comes to that. So let's take them in the back, and we're going to plug them in and take a listen to it. All right, so we have the ZLX-12BT set up right here, and a meter away from it, we have a condenser microphone. Now remember, this isn't the way you normally want to record live sound. We do this just to give you an idea of what it's going to sound like. Last time we did the 12P, we had the microphone much further away, things dialed up a little bit differently, so I figured I'd give you the opportunity to hear it up a little bit closer. The speakers are really loud, so I'm not too worried about overall volume. We are just running it at unity, balanced out, all that kind of stuff. I do have to drop the mic. We've done some sound checks. If I have the mic too high up, I'm just picking up a lot of the horn, and I'm not picking up a lot of the drivers. So dropping it down gives me a good balance between the top and the bottom. So that's what we're going to do. We're only going to do about 4 songs, 15 seconds each, that sort of thing. Give you a general idea of it. At the end of the day, it's an awesome speaker. You're not going to be disappointed with it. Quality-wise, if we actually go back to the 12P, Electro-Voice loves to brag about the fact that it's like worldwide the #1 selling model of all speakers, and they're probably right on that because it makes a lot of people happy for a lot of different reasons. So we'll do this, and then we'll bring it back to the table.
Favorite song, play it so that they can sing along. Will they hear what I'm writing? I'll give them something more exciting.
Verses coming daily under pressure. Working on the plot and the scheme. The true style trademark is at the edge of your dreams. I'm talking one shot.
second, but I realized you look up with those angel eyes. I remember what I'm fighting for. Oh, the victory cannot be denied.
All right, just to clarify continuity, we do have one speaker that has the sticker on it, one speaker that does not. So, you know, if you see the continuity of sometimes we have this and sometimes we don't, that's the reason why. Outside of that, let's talk about the product. And is it right for you? And is it in the right price range? Well, price range is dead on. I mean, that's the expected price that we have now on it. So currently it is right at par with everybody else in this category. Outside of that, you do have to make sure if you're going to be doing big venues, you may need something bigger. But if you're a band, if you're playing in pubs, bars, that sort of thing, and you're looking for a couple of speakers or some monitors, this is a pretty good way to go. Outside of that, weight is perfect. It's only 34 pounds, so easy to carry around. Quality, it's a ZLX. It's been around for quite a while now, and consistency it's a good product. If you take care of it, it'll take care of you. You don't have to worry much about it. They put a lot of protection in the speaker, which is a big plus. So remember, the two big things when it comes to running the speaker is the limiter and clipping. So if it's showing you on the line inputs that it's clipping, means that it's getting too much signal on the input, and dial it back a bit. If the limiter is going off, then that's a volume issue. You've got the speaker itself on too loud. Eventually it's going to, well, reduce the quality of the sound. So pay attention to that and you should be fine as well. Power-wise, I'm not going to complain about it. It's loud. Everybody who has it really likes it, and I got to be honest, I think it's pretty awesome. You do have bass and treble control, so you can dial it in the way you want. They've engineered a bunch of presets into it, so that's a good thing. And Bluetooth. Bluetooth was the only thing the old model was missing. So now with this one having Bluetooth, there's a lot of conveniences there. If you are a band and you're thinking, well, why do I need Bluetooth? Well, sometimes you're not on stage. Maybe you want to have just some music in the background. That's a good way to do it. You can just easily, and you control it on your phone, that way, your tablet. If you're a DJ, same thing applies. Sometimes you just need to play some music in the background, or you need an easy remote access to the speaker up front. It's a remote speaker off to the side. That happens. If you're at home, well, for sure. Remember, Spotify is your best friend when it comes to a speaker like this, because you can do everything you want. If you actually want to be part of the party and not DJing everything all the time, another good reason to have Bluetooth. Again, it's either version 4 or version 5, which means no compression, extremely long range, easy to use, quick pair up, and it just sounds really good. There's virtually no difference between that and wiring it up. So there you go. In a nutshell, yeah, it's a pretty good speaker. And if you get one, you're usually not disappointed. So if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. At the same time, if you've subscribed, I want to say thank you very much. And we'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.